Piecing Me Together today by Renée Watson. Before we get started though, like, how cool is this shirt? Yeah. Everybody that knows me well knows that I'm a Harry Potter fan, so I'm repping my Harry Potter shirt today. I actually had a previous student who made this for me one year, which was super awesome. So shout out to that student for making me this shirt. First of all, look at the cover of this book. It's beautiful. And these two right here are showing the awards that this got. So one of them is the Newberry Honor Book, and then the other one is a Coretta Scott King Award that promotes peace, nonviolent social change, and brotherhood. This book is absolutely fantastic. Normally I'm recommending these books just for like pleasure reading, students reading, that kind of thing. But this one specifically, teachers, any of my teachers who are watching this today, this is a great book for a classroom resource, and I am absolutely going to use this as a classroom resource starting this next school year. Normally I teach a book called House on Mango Street. And to me, this had like so many connections to the House on Mango Street book, and I would love to like use this book to like compare to House on Mango Street, because it's two different cultures, but they're both cultures in America that have like these prevalent circumstances that are discussed in this book. They're both through the viewpoint of a young woman growing up in like a poorer community, that both want to see themselves succeed in life and get outside that community and then help others who are also in those communities. So that's why I highly recommend this book. I read this book in 3 days, not like reading it like all day long, 3 days, but just like a couple of hours a day. And like, it's just so well written. Each chapter to me is sort of written almost like poetry. Like, it's very poetic in the way that she describes her situations. And you'll kind of notice like she'll leave out some like smaller details to like give you the overall picture of the mood she's trying to create for those chapters. Each chapter is named, which I think is cool. Like, I miss like when authors used to like name each chapter and give it a title, because it kind of gives you like a hint overall of what they're going for in that chapter. But let me give you an overview of this character in this book, and a short kind of summary of this book. And then I'm going to, of course, read one chapter, but then I'm also going to give you excerpts from a few other chapters, just some key points that I thought were really awesome and major reasons why this book specifically should be taught in schools. The description on the back: I am learning to speak to give myself a way out, a way in. An inspiring and powerful story of a girl who believes she must get out of her poor neighborhood if she's ever going to succeed. Jade's mother tells her to take advantage of every opportunity that comes her way. Every day she rides the bus away from her friends and to the private school where she feels like an outsider, but where she has plenty of opportunities. But Woman to Woman, a mentorship program she joins with the promise of a scholarship, makes her feel tired of being singled out as someone who needs support, someone people want to fix. Jade wants to speak, to create, to express her joys and sorrows, her pain and her hope. Maybe there are some things she could show other women about understanding the world and finding opportunities to be real and to make a difference. Be bold, be brave, be beautiful, be brilliant, be your best. So that's a description on the back. So we have this main character, her name is Jade, and basically she has a good opportunity because she's a scholar. She has really good grades. She's super smart. And she applies for this scholarship at like this really fancy school across the other side of town, what she calls the good part of town, because she believes that her neighborhood is like a poorer community, but she loves her neighborhood. So she has this constant struggle of like, I want to succeed in life and I want to do well, but I'm also part of this community that's known to be a little bit poorer. So she has this constant struggle of like who she wants to be as a person versus who she feels like she needs to be to get out of her circumstances and be able to help other people around her. So in this community, specifically why she likes this new school is because she wants to learn Spanish. She believes that like language is a way to get her out of her circumstances. So she goes to this community where she takes Spanish. So every chapter is actually in Spanish. Like the title of the chapter is in Spanish, and then she translates it underneath. So every Spanish word she chooses is for a purpose because it represents the mood of each chapter. So for example, chapter 1 is called Español, which is Spanish language. And all it says is, I am learning to speak to give myself a way out, a way in. Super powerful way to start off the book. All right, now I'm going to read chapter 2, which is like giving you the most context, and it's a little bit longer, and then I'll read you a couple of excerpts that I particularly liked throughout the book. Chapter 2, Tener éxito, to succeed. When I learned the Spanish word for succeed, I thought it was kind of ironic that the word exit is embedded in it. Like the universe was telling me that in order for me to make something of this life, I'd have to leave home, my neighborhood, and my friends. And maybe I've already started. For the past 2 years, I've attended St. Francis High School on the other side of town, away from everything and everyone I love. Tomorrow is the first day of my junior year, and you'd think it was my first day as a freshman, the way my stomach is turning. I don't think I'll ever get used to being at St. Francis while the rest of my friends are at Northside. I begged Mom to let me go to my neighborhood high school, but she just kept telling me, Jade, honey, this is a good opportunity, one I couldn't pass up. It's the best private school in Portland, which means it's mostly white, which means it's expensive. I didn't want to get my hopes up. What was the point of applying if once I got accepted, Mom wouldn't be able to afford for me to go? But Mom had done her research. She knew St. Francis offered financial aid. So I applied, and once I accepted, I received a full scholarship, so I kind of had to go. So here I am, trying to pick out something to wear that doesn't look like I'm trying too hard to impress, or that I don't care about how I look. St. Francis doesn't have uniforms, and even though everyone says that it doesn't matter how you look on the outside, it does, especially at St. Francis. I bought clothes with the money I made from working as a tutor at the rec center over the summer. I offered my mom some of the money I earned to help with the bills or at least the groceries, but she wasn't having any of that. She told me to spend it on my school clothes and supplies. I saved some of it though, just in case. Mom comes into my room without knocking, like always. I won't be here tomorrow morning when you leave for school, she says. She seems sad about this, but I don't think it's a big deal. You won't see much of me this week. I'm working extra hours. Mom used to work as a housekeeper at a manual hospital, but she got fired because she was caught stealing supplies. She sometimes brought home blankets and the small lotions that are given to patients. Snacks, too, like saltine crackers and juice boxes. Then one of her coworkers reported her. Now Mom works for her friend's mother, Miss Louise, a rich old lady who can't do much for herself. Mom makes Miss Louise breakfast, lunch, and dinner, gives her baths, and takes her to doctor's appointments. She cleans up the accidents Miss Louise sometimes has when she can't make it to the bathroom. Miss Louise's daughter comes at night, but sometimes she has a business trip to go on, so Mom says. I know Mom isn't here just to tell me her schedule for the week because it's posted on the fridge. That's how we communicate with each other. We write our schedules on the dry erase board and use it to let each other know what we're up to. I close my closet, turn around, look at her, and wait. I know what's coming. Every year since I started at St. Francis, Mom comes to my room the night before school and starts to give me the talk. Tonight, she's taking a while to get to it, but I know that it's coming. She asks questions she already knows the answers to. Have I registered to take the SATs yet? Am I still going to tutor at the rec now that it's started? Then she says, Jade, you're going to make some friends this year? Here it is, the talk. Really, Mom? Yes, really. You need some friends. I have Lily. You need friends who go to St. Francis. You've been there for 2 years. How is it that you haven't made any new friends? Well, at least I haven't made enemies, I said. Mom sighs. I have friends there, Mom. They're just not my best friends. It's not like I go to school and sit all by myself in the cafeteria. I'm fine, I tell her. Are you sure, Mom asks? Because I swear, it's like if you and Lily are joined at the hip, you act like you can't survive. Mom doesn't know that I want to have Lily to look at when something funny happens. Something that's only funny to us. Our eyes have a way of finding each other no matter what where we are in a room so that we can't give each other the look. A look that says, "Did you see that?" But at St. Francis, I don't have anyone to share that look with. Most things that seem ridiculous to me are normal there. Like when my humanities teacher asked, "Who are the invisible people in our community? Who are the people we, as a society, take for granted?" Some girl in my class said her housekeeper. It wasn't that I didn't think she took her housekeeper for granted. It was the fact that I couldn't believe that she had one. And then so many of the classmates nodded like they could all relate. I actually looked across the room at the only other black girl in the class, and she was raising her hand saying, "She took my answer." And so I knew we'd probably never make eye contact about anything. Then I realized how different I am from everyone else at St. Francis. Not only because I'm black and almost everyone else is white, but because their mothers are the kind of people who hire housekeepers, and my mother is the kind of person who works as one. Lily would get that. She'd look at me, and we'd have a whole conversation with only our eyes. But now I have to wait till I get home from school to fill her out on the crazy things that rich people say and do. Mom keeps on with her talk. "I really wish you'd make at least one friend, a close friend, this year at your school," she says. Then she says goodnight to me and walks into the hallway, where she turns and says, "Almost forgot to remind you. Did you see my note on the fridge? You have a meeting with Miss Parker during lunch tomorrow." On the first day of school? About what? Mom shrugs. She didn't give me the details. "Must be about the study abroad program," she says with a smile. "You think so?" For the first time for the first time ever, I'm excited to talk to Miss Parker. This is the year that teachers select students to volunteer in a foreign country and do service learning projects. That was the thing that made me want to attend St. Francis. Well, that and the scholarship. When we meet with Miss Parker, my guidance counselor, I think she could tell I was not feeling going to school away from my friends. But she knew from my application essay that I wanted to take Spanish and that I wanted to travel. So she said, "Jade, St. Francis provides opportunities for our students to travel the world." She had me at that. Of course, she didn't tell me I'd have to wait until I was a junior. Mrs. Parker always had some kind of opportunity to tell me about. Freshman year was an essay writing contest that happened after school. Sophomore year it was the free SAT prep class that met on Saturday mornings. Saturday mornings. She likes to take me downtown on the Arlene Schnitzer Hall whenever there's a speaker or poet in town, telling me I could go hear so-and-so because kids in other cities in Oregon don't get these kind of opportunities. I know Mrs. Parker is looking out for me, that she promised Mom she'd make sure I'd have a successful 4 years at St. Francis. But sometimes I wish I could say, "Oh, no thank you, Miss Parker. I've had enough opportunities. My life is full of opportunities. Give an opportunity to someone else." But girls like me, with coal skin and hula hoops hips, whose mamas barely make enough money to keep food in the house, have to take opportunities every chance we get. Before Mom walks away, she says, "I'm going to pick up some groceries after I get off work tomorrow. Anything you need me to get?" "Did you see what I added to the list on the fridge?" I asked, smiling. Mom laughs. "That was you? I thought maybe it was EJ who wrote that." EJ is my mom's brother, but I've never called him Uncle EJ. He's 20, so we're more like siblings. He started staying with us when he dropped out of college. Well, let him tell it. He took a leave of absence, but it's been a year and I haven't heard anything about his trying to go back. Instead, he's busy making a name for himself as a local DJ. Mom walks to her bedroom. "Mint chocolate chip ice cream. I'll see what I can do," she says. "If I have enough money, I'll get it. Promise." I finish getting ready for school, thinking to myself that I know all about Mom's promises. She does her best to make them, but they're fragile and they break easily. Alright, so that's the end of chapter 2. I'm going to read you a couple of excerpts that I saw that I thought were like especially powerful and like why people should read this book. It discusses a lot of like how she views the world, and I think that's important not just for people who see through a similar viewpoint as her, but people that have never even experienced some of those things and don't realize that these things actually take place in America. So, from page 132 of the book, "Maxine is wrong, so wrong about me. She is also right, because I know more than that, want more than that. Right because I am the girl who spends her summers reading books and working, tutoring at the rec when a lot of her friends are at the rec playing their summers away. I'm the girl who knows when to stop talking back to a teacher, because I know my mother will be waiting for me when I get home, asking me if I forgot who raised me. I am the girl who dreams of going places, to college, to grad school, all around the world if I can. Maxine is right and wrong. Those girls are not the opposite of me. We are perpendicular. We may be on different paths, yes, but there's a place where we touch, where we connect, and are just the same. And then another one from page 192, and this is one that I posted as like a snapshot of this book because this was probably like my favorite one. It's the most emotional one. I get up off my bed and walk around my room. You okay? I don't know why this is making me so, I don't know. I mean, we hear about this stuff all the time, and she didn't even die. It's not even as bad as it could be, but for some reason I don't know. It just feels too close. Yeah, I guess. And like it could have been you or me. There are no words from Lily, only the sound of her breathing. We sit there, not talking, just listening to each other's breaths, just thankful. And that's right after she and her friend found out that right across town in her community, her own community, that a girl their age had been a victim of police brutality. All right. And then chapter 56 is the last one that I'm going to read. The chapter title is Liberar, which means to release. I print the photos I took today. Leave all of them intact except the ones of the officers, their cars, those merry-go-round lights. Every tear I've been holding in goes onto the page. Tears for Mom's swollen ankles after a long day of work, for her jar of pennies. Tears for every things will be different next time. Tears for what happened with Mrs. Weber, the lady at the mall, the boys at Dairy Queen. I didn't realize how much I was holding in, how many cries I've buried. I have no more room, so I let it all out. Tears for every name of unarmed black men and women I know of who've been assaulted or murdered by the police are inked on the page. Their names whole and vibrant against the backdrop of black sadness. Their names, so many of them, they spill off the page. So that to me like really solidifies what this book is trying to do. And obviously this is very relevant today and now. It gives not just people who are experiencing this for themselves, like a sense of like somebody else feels the way I do, but it also gives us a chance, people who don't experience these things for themselves, but just see it on the news. It gives us a better chance to like understand how these people feel and what's going on around us. Because a lot of times like we're kind of desensitized to things and we're kind of like, okay, that's just the way things are. But this is telling us no, like it shouldn't be like that, you know? And for me as a teacher, knowing that some of my students could be the ones that I see next, this is especially important to me because I think we need to understand how those students feel. And that makes us better teachers because it makes us realize like what do we need to give our students to help them work through these feelings, to give them a voice to speak out against things that they see around them. And so this is why I highly, highly recommend this book, not just as a teacher, which this is a fantastic classroom resource, and I will definitely be putting this in my classroom as a resource, possibly connecting to that one book that I was saying earlier, House on Mango Street. But also I think this is just a book that everybody should read. So one more time, this is called Piecing Me Together by Renee Watson. Soon after this, when I post this video, I'm also going to repost the stack of books that I have that I'm going through, most of which are diversity books from all different cultures. And I want to know from you guys, what book do you want to see next? And then also, as always, I'm open to suggestions on any books that I don't currently have in my pile in my library. But that you've read or that you've wanted to read, that you want me to add into it. So if you're watching this, thank you for watching. And then I will be back on Friday for number 2 for this week. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.